Welcome to episode number 5 of the Security Professionals Podcast. Fugitive Recovery with Dan Magnus, Part 3. Welcome to the Security Professionals Podcast, brought to you by Security Training Center, LLC. This is your weekly source of news, tips, and education for the security specialist. I'm your host, Alex Addix, and this is episode 5, Fugitive Recovery with Dan Magnus. This is the third and final part of our interview with Dan Magnus. And here's the conclusion of the interview. Are you looking to run your own security guard training school? Check out guardcardtraining.com. We have state-approved security guard training materials, professionally printed and bound student manuals, PowerPoint presentations, knowledge checks, and final exams. Everything you need to run your own program. Just open the box and start teaching. guardcardtraining.com.
And you know what? That sounds like a ridiculous concept, but who knows? It maybe keeps people more sane.
Interesting. So speaking of bringing up awareness and teaching people, you run seminars on a regular basis. You have short form seminars, 2-hour seminars, and then you actually have full weekend programs.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about those. Well,
the 2-hour one is just to give them, like what we're doing now is telling them, how the dark world really works, because people fall into that world. So, it's like for the 2 hours, I tell them basically how just, how 5 P's of personal protection. You got to have a plan, you got to prepare, you got to protect, you got to practice, and you got to persevere. Well, how do you do that? You have a plan. You get up in the morning, right? You open your eyes, you wake up. What do? You got to get out of bed. So you have a plan. You got to put your clothes on unless you're going to walk around naked. You're going to eat something. You asked me earlier, during the testing, what I eat for breakfast. Okay, well, I really didn't have a plan. I had to think about it, but it's a plan. It may not be a good plan. Then you got to prepare to make that plan work. Then you got to protect yourself. But how are you going to protect yourself if you don't practice protecting yourself? And no matter what happens, you got to persevere through it. You just can't quit and not do it. So the 2-hour one is just to get people mindset set on, listen, the only one that's going to protect you is you. And then my 2-day gets into advanced things of how you see things instead of what you see. You see when you're driving down the street and you see a cop car with its lights on, what's the first thing you say in your mind? What's happening? And everybody has to look, and it causes a traffic jam, and everybody has problems. I look at it as, okay, how's this going to affect me? How is this police car with its lights flashing, and I don't even know what's going on, and why should I? It's none of my business. How is this going to affect me? If more people worried about how things are going to affect them instead of what's going on, the world might be a little safer. But people are fascinated by things, again, because we're influenced heavily by movies and television. I'm terrible to go to the movies with and watch because, I know how the real world works, and I'll watch this thing and I'll be like, that's not true. And people tell me all the time, Dan, it's just a movie.
Yeah, but for so many people, it's also education, which is the scary and sad part.
But it's the wrong education. It isn't like that.
I didn't say it was good. I just said it was.
Yeah. So my seminars are really to, basically try to show them really what's bad. I mean, here's one of the things. I can probably, you've been around, you do it. I can hurt you more with words than I can with a punch or a kick. Basically, if I cuss at you, you're going to get into a defensive shell. Most people aren't used to being cussed at. We're taught as young, kids not to cuss. And if someone starts saying real bad language to it, the person shuts down. I've done my 2-hour seminars, and I've had producers say to me, could you watch the language? Well, is a bad guy going to watch the language when he's attacking you? No, but some people may get offended. Well, good. I'd rather them get offended in a protected place than out in reality where if I know I can hurt you with words, what am I going to do with you when I physically do it? And in self-defense, if I can teach you to verbally be able to, somebody's threatening you and you can verbally shut them down, then you don't have to physically do it. In self-defense classes in most martial arts school, okay, defend against a punch. Well, no one's just going to walk out of nowhere and just punch you. They're going to say something to you first. But what if you say, I'm going to kick the crap out of you, and I look at you and go, that's going to be the worst decision you've ever made in your effing life. All of a sudden, I use that nasty 4-letter word. If I'm man enough to say that word or I'm strong enough to say that word, what am I going to do to you physically? We teach our children martial arts, how to punch and how to kick. And what do we always say to them? Don't use it unless it's absolutely necessary. Don't punch and kick anybody unless you need to protect yourself. Whatever we taught our children, don't use bad language unless it's going to protect you. You need to use it to protect yourself. It would stop bullying. Bullies are cowards. So imagine if a bully came up to you and then you told the bully off in some really explicit language that the bully gets scared because you're saying words that you're not supposed to say. And it shows that you really mean business. So that bully's thinking, God, if that kid has the guts to say those bad words, what's he going to do to me physically?
Yeah.
And that's really the only, how do you stop bullying? Well, the anti-bully people don't like it. I say just punch the bully in the nose.
That's what I was taught.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Nowadays, they'll go like this. Well, that doesn't solve the problem. It does for me. He isn't going to punch me anymore.
Damn straight it does. Yeah, I'm not going to solve his problems at home that turned him into a bully, but he's going to leave me the hell alone.
Right. And if, let's say, he bullies somebody else and they punch him in the nose, and he bullies someone else and they punch him, after about 3 or 4 punches in the nose, that kid's not going to bully anybody anymore. And I'm not their therapist. One thing about fugitives, they always tell you how they didn't do it and they were wronged. And I used to go to them, I don't care. You don't get it. I don't care what you did. It's not personal. The thing that people have to really realize is that they have to change their mindsets. And it's not like movies, real life, they have to have real life scenarios and practice them. I mean, you practice shooting, don't you?
Absolutely.
Would you, it makes me confident that you know how to use your gun if you need to protect. You carry a gun to protect somebody, right?
If I needed to, yeah.
Right, but aren't you also protecting yourself?
Damn straight.
That's right. So if we can teach people to protect themselves more, don't you think crime would go down a little bit?
You're preaching to the choir, brother.
That's, what I say, the world's full of sheep and there's wolves out there. And we're the dogs that, protect them. We're the sheepdogs. But the sheep don't like us because we remind them of the wolves.
Yeah.
But it's a thankless job, but we do it anyway. Sometimes I think it's just like maybe the world does need superheroes. Would be a lot easier.
Yeah, but do you want the Superman or the Batman?
I'm a Batman kind of guy.
I know. You practically wear the black cape too.
And my phone, I sometimes call it the bat phone. Usually when my phone rings, it's like, okay, I have to answer it because normally I don't talk to people. So if my phone rings, usually it's somebody in need.
You get called up for gigs all the time, but that's for another conversation we're going to have in the future.
Yeah.
So for your seminars, I know you're doing a bunch here in Los Angeles, but do you do them in other parts of the country too?
Yes, I'm working on with people now, producers that want to, that have come to my seminars and said, I really enjoyed your seminar. I think, but I live in Dallas and I think I want to bring you to Dallas. So I have a program now where if they can get the people, what I charge, I give them, a percentage of because they're putting the butts in the seat. So we're working on that now, and I've got people in D.C. that want me to come there, and Texas, and Australia, and Canada, and all that. Because the thing that we teach, you teach it too, is, everybody needs to know how to protect themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the reasons why we get along so well is that our philosophies and teaching styles and material is pretty damn close to being identical.
Yeah. But the thing about it is it doesn't, and here's the thing, it doesn't conflict with each other. You teach your way, I teach my way. There's no right or wrong way, as long as it works. There's plenty of people out there for all the people that can teach it. I always say, what martial art's the best?
Oh yeah, I get that all the time.
One that works for you.
Yep.
There is no, this style is better than this style is better than this style. MMA now, karate goes just like we were talking about in the 80s, 90s, and how it's changed today. Martial arts has changed to that. In the 50s, martial arts was called judo because that's all they knew. Then they figured out the word karate. Then Bruce Lee came by and it came kung fu. Then full contact karate came full contact. And then they switched it to kickboxing. And then it became MMA. There are people just today go, well, I don't do MMA. I want to do UFC. Okay. Well, I've heard that. I've had that asked to me. They go, I don't want to do MMA. I want to do UFC. UFC is a brand name.
Yeah.
MMA, is the sport. The common people don't get that.
Yeah.
You and me, that's really funny. But you go to a person that has no martial arts experience and say, what do you like better, MMA or UFC? They'll go, oh, I love the UFC better than the MMA. Really?
Boy.
Okay. Well, we're not going to have any more conversations.
Now, you also have a book, right?
Yes.
And where can people get your book, and what is it called?
Well, right now it's called The Magnus Method, React Before You Act, Prevention and Awareness Specialist. I really call my seminars Victim No More, because what I do is I rewire your brain so you don't become a victim, because criminals look for the easy prey. And if you become – everybody can be a victim. But the way you stand, the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you hold yourself, that really is what the criminal's looking for, of who they're going to pick on. That's why so many bouncers are big guys, because people are scared of big people. I get the roadhouse effect when people meet me. They hear me and they think I'm 6'4", 250. And then when they meet me, I get that roadhouse thing. I thought you'd be bigger.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to disappoint you.
Yeah, because, you are not a big, intimidating person physically. It's about the presence and about the attitude. My biggest weapon is not my punches or my holds, and it's my eyes. But you are also one tough son of a bitch.
Sometimes you have no choice. When you're in our profession, you got to be a tough person. I tell people when I was running clubs and I was trying to get bouncers, I would say to them, how are your negotiation skills? Well, I have a black belt in karate. I didn't ask you if you could fight. I asked you, how are your negotiation skills? Can you talk two people out of fighting? Can you talk a person out of the bar? If you can't, I don't want to deal with you. Because everything, and that's the problem with today, is that people can't negotiate. You got a guy who's drunk, or you got to stop a guy or cut him off because he's drinking too much. You got to be able to negotiate with him. You just can't say, you can't drink anymore, because then they go ape shit.
Yeah. As soon as you can't, you're denying them something.
So you just say, listen, sir, you're out. You got to go now, and then there's, peaceful negotiations to what I call aggressive negotiations. And people do not like my aggressive negotiation skills. It's like I said before, like what I said with the fugitive recovery thing. It can be dangerous, but it's not like, if it was like what they show it in the movies, nobody would really do it. You'd have to be an absolute idiot.
Yeah, because you would walk in and you'd get shot at every single day.
Yeah. But like I said, like we saw in the movie The Fugitive with Tommy Lee Jones, they tried to keep it as accurate as they could with how the law is. There was a scene when Tommy Lee Jones shot the guy who was a fugitive, and he was in the house because he put the gun to the other US Marshal's head. And Tommy Lee Jones just shot him because he was guilty, because he was a escaped convict, and he told the other guy, said, "I can't hear," and he whispered in his ears, "I don't negotiate." That's reality, because he didn't have to read him his rights, because the guy was guilty.
Yeah.
So, but people nowadays, it's just so much harder. I think it's harder for the police now than it ever was, because they're being taped. They tape themselves. That I don't get. They have the tape in their own squad cars and they do something stupid.
Yeah, but I've heard things that it helps a lot of the times, especially when you're dealing with people who are intoxicated, because normally they claim all sorts of crazy things happened and aggressiveness and stuff like that. And as soon as they see the tape, 99% of the time, all of that stuff goes away.
Right. But there's also times I've seen the tape and the police have done the dumbest thing. Like, do they not know they're taping themselves? But that's what human beings do. I hate to say this, but sometimes human beings, we think we're the smartest species on the planet. I sometimes, in my line of work, I sometimes highly doubt it. But that's just my opinion.
On many days, I would not disagree.
Like I said, my whole object in my life now, because I'm 57 years old, and I think I'm going to be putting the cape up in the closet for a while, and now just teach people, look, people, smarten up, get more aware, look at things differently, see how things can progress. And then you want to know what the best self-defense weapon in the world is when there's a bad situation happening? Leave.
Yeah, be someplace else.
Leave. Unless you're getting paid to stay there, leave. But that's the hardest thing to teach them. Guys' egos get in the way. Women are just as bad. I don't want to leave. I didn't do anything wrong. Okay, well, your night's ruined anyway. The subject matter that both of us have, we could be in it for like 19 hours.
Yes.
It's like, nothing, I have on my business card, life or death, your choice. And what people have to worry about, it's not their life or their death. It's all the stuff that's in the middle, all the gray that's in the middle. That book that made so much thing, 50 Shades of Gray? Well, in our line of work, it's 15 million shades of gray. Because nothing is black and white. And now with technology, oh, wow, well, we got videos. But, boy, they can be doctored so easily now.
Yeah, and editing just to change things around and give a different spin on the same exact thing. Yeah.
Like I said, the 80s were a lot different than they were now. None of the stuff that I did back then I could do now. I'm a dinosaur. Technology, I don't know if it's done a good thing or a bad thing.
It's definitely changed things.
Yeah. My one of my like fantasy dreams is that there's a nuclear flare that takes out all the computers and the cell phones in the world, and we go like back to the 1800s, and I can rule the world.
Nice.
Because it wouldn't bother me at all. I'd be like, all right, so I don't have to talk to anybody anymore.
Oh, that's funny. But you do have a website, though.
Yes.
What's your website?
The magnusmethod.com. magnusmethod.com. You can go to my seminar page to see when my next seminars are. I have some videos that actually are some training videos of, what happens when you have an elevated heart rate. People don't understand, when you get scared, your heart rate goes up to about 160, 170, and you lose all your fine motor skills. So if you don't practice stress training, and you have that perfect dojo punch, but out in the street, you can't hit the broadside of a barn because now you're just on your gross motor skills because you're so scared.
Yeah, on the Practical Defense podcast, I did an entire episode on why martial arts tournaments are great training devices because they induce that stress artificially in a controlled and somewhat safe environment.
Well, I have a thing. Everybody goes, wow, you're great at bodyguarding, and you were a 2-time world kickboxing champion. That doesn't help me for what I did, in the streets. The only thing kickboxing gave me to help me in the streets was got me used to confrontation. That I was in the ring with a guy that was trying to knock me out, and I was trying to knock him out. But even then, there were rules. There was a referee in there to protect us. It won't be really ultimate fighting till they put two people in a cage and a guy pulls out a gun and shoots the other guy.
Yeah.
Okay, that was the ultimate fight. He won. They both, that's not going to happen. If there's rules, then it's a sport.
Right. But with the tournaments, though, but I agree completely. And we're going off on another tangent here. But yeah, because I liked the tournaments because you're up against somebody you've never met before with could have been a completely different style of martial arts, different level of aggression, different skill set. And when the judge said go, you had to explode and react and be aggressive and score points.
Yeah. Well, the whole idea is just being ready. One of the biggest things, again, going back to what we originally were talking with the Fugitive thing, is that one of the reasons why I never had that many problems was that I was always ready for something bad to happen. You asked me if I had, a crew. I had one partner with me, but really I had two partners. The second partner we all have, but we don't like him. His name's Murphy. Murphy's Law. Yeah. Whatever can go wrong will go wrong. He's always with me. That guy keeps me on my toes more than anybody else.
Like the court jester.
Yeah. Murphy's Law.
We will definitely have you back on the show again to continue the conversation because I love talking to you.
It was great talking to you there, Alex.
Websites, Magnus Method, The Magnus Method. He's got .com. He's got books. He runs seminars. Great information. Great stuff. So thanks for coming on, Dan, and we will talk to you next time.
All right. Thank you, Alex. Bye-bye.
Well, that will do it for this episode of the Security Professionals Podcast. If you have any tips you'd like to share with everyone, a comment on a show, or if you would like to suggest a topic for an upcoming episode, write into podcast@security-training-center.com. Or you can leave us a voicemail at 909-742-0649. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, stay aware, stay safe.
I'm a doctor.
I'm a teacher.
I live in the South.
California is my home.
I speak fluent Spanish.
No hablo español.
I have brown eyes.
My eyes are blue.
We're very different people, but we do have something in common. I made a donation to the Red Cross.
When disaster struck and I needed help, her gift to the American Red Cross changed my life.
When you support the American Red Cross, you change a life, starting with your own.
Call 1-800-RED-CROSS or visit redcross.org and find out about life-changing opportunities in your area.
The Security Professionals Podcast is copyright Security Training Center, LLC. This work is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 4.0 International License. An archive of previous episodes can be found at security-training-center.com/podcast.